Good evening and a very warm welcome to India Matters on Thursday night. You know, in this country, we sometimes give a lot of importance, overwhelmingly large, exaggerated importance to what's happening in places outside the country, while we hardly place any focus on what's really happening here. Whether it is American politicians, whether it is the George Floyd case, whether it is crime, whether it's war, do we really pay enough attention to what's happening right here in this country? And that leads to my, ironically, lead story tonight. So, Zohran Mamdani, filmmaker Mira Nair's son and part-time revolutionary, full-time Modi beta, is now in pole position for the mayor of New York City. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Shiv, you just said it's ironic that we pay so much attention to what's happening outside the country. Well, I accept that irony because this is my lead story. Well, predictably, the Indian internet as well is completely lit up by this one name. He's trending, not because of his politics or the city he's contesting in, but because he's the son of that Mira Nair. That's right, monsoon wedding wali Mira Nair. And because he's made attacking India, specifically Modi, specifically Hindutva, the central plank of at least part of his American political hustle. Now, this isn't new. Zohran Mamdani's entire political persona is stitched from the same fabric as every other woke, tweet-deleting, contradiction-dodging activist in the US political runway. The same playbook: scream about Muslims in India, never about Uyghurs in China, preach inclusion and how the NYPD must be defunded because it isn't woke enough, but delete those very posts when you finally are within striking distance of the mayor's chair. Let's be clear, Mamdani isn't winning hearts in India. Well, actually he is. He's selling fear, though, about India to an American audience that laps it up. But I'm not surprised he's actually getting all this traction. Is anyone really surprised? I'm seeing a lot of negative reactions from some Congress MPs and some BJP MPs and some prominent commentators. And I'm wondering why everyone is so triggered by Mamdani, and why is anyone really surprised by his political success? This is, after all, Trump's America, where even a self-declared communist can find fertile ground among the anti-establishment fringes. He knows that pockets of radical progressives will show up and vote for someone who calls landlords enemies and cops oppressors, even while he deletes his old tweets about the NYPD. What does amuse me, though, is this Indian obsession. We're more invested in the New York City mayoral primaries than our own backyard. Now, Zohran Mamdani might be trending here right now, but can you even name your local MLA or MP? I didn't think so.
My name is Zohran Mamdani.
New Yorkers head to the polls in November, and the city could see its first Muslim and Indian American mayor. Self-described socialist Zohran Mamdani could become New York City's mayor after his shock win in the Democratic mayoral primary. The 33-year-old candidate beat off competition from favorite Andrew Cuomo, the former New York governor who was attempting to make a political comeback from a sexual harassment scandal.
Tonight, we made history. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it is done. My friends, we have done it. I will be your Democratic nominee for the mayor of
The pro-Palestinian lawmaker and socialist Mamdani's popularity grew with sleekly produced social media videos which set out his vision of free buses, free childcare, new apartments and a higher minimum wage paid for by new taxes on the rich.
I am Donald Trump's worst nightmare as a progressive Muslim immigrant who actually fights for the things that I believe in. And the difference between myself and Andrew Cuomo is that my campaign is not funded by the very billionaires who put Donald Trump in D.C.
But why is there outrage in India? The left-wing figure is facing intense backlash after a series of controversial remarks and resurfaced tweets targeting PM Modi, the Hindu faith, and India's democratic institutions.
Every single New Yorker deserves the same protections.
These remarks were met with sharp criticism from Indian leaders across party lines, like Congress leader Abhishek Manu Singhvi said that when Zohran Mamdani opens his mouth, Pakistan's PR team takes the day off. India doesn't need enemies with allies like him. BJP MP Kangana Ranaut said that he sounded more like Pakistani than any Indian. Whatever happened to his Hindu identity or bloodline, and now he is ready to wipe out Hinduism. Is this a case of mistaking radicalism for revolution, or marks a watershed moment for progressives and signals a shift in the city's political center of gravity? Only time will tell. Aditi Bhardwaj, NDTV.
It doesn't show that you will win.
So everyone's obsessed with this big viral story over filmmaker Mira Nair's son, Zohran Mamdani, now poised to become the next mayor of New York City, the first Muslim mayor of New York City, a shock win that puts him right in the middle of Trump's America. And there are so many things being said. I'm joined now by Priyanka Deo, my NDTV colleague. She's an Indian who lives in the United States and has very sharp views on these matters, and I'm sure she does on Mamdani as well. Anish Kawante is national spokesperson of the NCP here in India. He has spent a lot of time abroad, and Anish, I notice on social media, is being called Bharat ka Mamdani, and I'm going to get into that in just a moment. But Priyanka, I want to kick it off with you. What are you making of A, Mamdani's win, and B, this huge interest in India beyond the obvious, beyond Mira Nair, beyond some of the baiting that we've seen? What are you making of this viral Mamdani moment?
Namaste. Thanks for having me on the show. I think that his campaign, for sure, keep in mind, he's not a winner yet. He still has to run for mayor. So if Cuomo decides to go as an independent, he faces quite a steep battle to come. But I think the campaign is definitely energized. But you have to see, Shiv, you have to see the campaign candidate for what they stand for, right? His platform, when you actually look at it, it actually faces very, very steep practical, fiscal, as well as political obstacles in the city of New York, right? More concerning to me is some of his ideological rigidity, right? His unwillingness to kind of engage constructively with opposing viewpoints. It's almost too radical to the point where he's freaking out some of the Democrats and some heavyweight Democrats. They're saying that it is too radical. He's giving a face to the Democrat Party that they do not want. They don't want this sort of radicalism and opposition, because this is why they lost the election. They lost the election to Donald Trump. They lost all of their swing states to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So they're very wary. His own party is very, very wary of just how radical he is. Now, it's one thing to say things on TikTok, but it's also another thing to pass them in City Hall, right? It's kind of for example, as Aditi said a little bit before, New York is the financial capital of the world, right? It's a place of central global markets. It houses some of the world's most powerful financial institutions. It's also responsible for a very significant share of the US GDP. Now, leading a city of this stature is not just, it's not going to be on radical ideas.
Yeah.
Has he explained how he's going to raise the minimum wage? I mean, if people wanted to raise the minimum wage, I used to work at, a very, very low minimum wage jobs. I've worked there as well. I would love to see a higher minimum wage.
Okay.
I'd love to get paid more.
I'll come to some of his policy. I'll come to some of those policy planks in just a bit, Priyanka. But I want to bring Anish in on this. Anish, first of all, I want to kick it off by asking you, why are some people, I'm very curious to know why some people are labeling you India ka Zohran Mamdani. What's that about?
Zohran Mamdani and Mumbai ka Zohran Mamdani. I think it started off as a meme, and I'm very glad to be on the show with you today, Shiv, and funnily enough to discuss India ka Zohran Mamdani on my inaugural appearance on your NDTV show. I think it started off as a meme, and I think people were commenting on all these viral videos and going off of those and saying that Anish will be the next Zohran Mamdani in India. And I found that to be really funny because for two reasons, right? One is that India doesn't need a Zohran Mamdani. We've had Zohran Mamdanis long before, who've become mayors of some of our most incredible cities, who've come to political power at young ages, and who've disrupted the status quo in many ways, in the same ways Zohran has. Now, the other reason India doesn't need a Zohran Mamdani is because so many of the policies he's spoken about, particularly in a city like Mumbai, have already been brought in decades ago. And so the fight that we're fighting in a city like Mumbai today is not to rework the wheel or bring about the progress that Zohran wants to bring about in New York, but to cement the progress we've already made.
Yeah.
You know, he talks about grocery stores. You know, in Mumbai, I grew up with Sahkari Bhandar. We talk about free buses. Which political party in India has not promised free buses today? You know, he speaks about freezing the rent. We passed the Maharashtra Rent Control Act back in 1999. And we've got the Pagdi Tenants Action Committee and Pagdi Tenants' rights guaranteed by successive governments, regardless of which political party is in power. So the reality is that actually the leftmost candidate in the United States is probably a centrist in India.
True.
And will have to contend with a lot of socialist policy positions, ranging from minimum wages to worker protections that we've instituted a very long time ago, right from Ahilya Rangnekar to Yusuf Meher Ali, to people like George Fernandez in the very city I was born.
Yeah.
So for those reasons, I found that funny, but I think he's run an extraordinary campaign, and we have to give him that.
No doubt. You know, Priyanka, one of the reasons why Zohran Mamdani has also lit up the Indian internet is because he's said many controversial things about India. He's attacked the government. He's attacked Modi in the past as well. And that's perhaps one of the reasons why there's a measure of adulation from a section of Indian audiences for the man. And like the both of you have said, India doesn't need a Zohran Mamdani.
Well, look, I mean, I don't think America needs a Mamdani either, because, I mean, let's face it, America has been built on capitalism. For better or for worse, it is a capitalist country. That's what it's known for. Now, that's the very essence of the US system. So it is impossible. We saw that with Kamala Harris and some of her debates when she went for president, right? Those policies do not pass. They don't work. It's like a complete overhaul. How do you go from a capitalist society to suddenly a communist society? He's openly said, I want to defund the police. I don't want the police.
He deleted that tweet then. Yeah.
He deleted it when he started running for mayor. So he's already contradicting himself, which means, are the things he's saying great on TikTok, but how's he actually going to do them, right? Yeah. And once they win, they don't do anything. That's also been historically seen in India, I guess all over the world, not just India.
But I wanna come in here, Priyanka, because I think of course I share some of your pessimism because we've seen this narrative play out. But you can't help but feel a sense of hope in seeing someone like Zohran raise the issues that he does, right? The reality is that in a city like Mumbai today, young Mumbaikars cannot afford a home or cannot even dream of affording a home. The reality is they cannot afford to move out of their homes, out of the homes that they've built with their families. That they cannot afford to get jobs where they are paid well enough. And so these are crises that are facing our communities today that we have to acknowledge. Does Zohran have all the right answers? I don't know. I think clearly these are policy questions in the US. I lived in New York for many years. And funnily enough, I saw Zohran's first campaign when he was running for state senate and had put out some incredible videos because his father used to be a professor at Columbia University where I used to study. So I've watched his campaign closely early on. I haven't really kept up with the specific policy angles, but I think he's hit a raw nerve for young people, not just in New York, but across the world.
Priyanka, you want to respond to that? I saw you shaking your head.
I do. Yep, I do. Just because, yes, Anish, I do agree. Okay, there was a big debate when Biden was running against Trump, when Kamala was running against Trump, right? There's a huge debate in America that why can't we have a younger person? Why can't, and the same I would say in India, right? India, 65% of the population is under 35 years old. Why can't we have more younger politicians, right? So I absolutely agree that politics needs to be diverse. It needs to be a bunch of different people. Ideologies also should be different. But the point is, Anish, you've lived in New York. You cannot socialize a capitalist powerhouse without breaking the engine that funds the program. So essentially, his policies, it's not in, you have to look at city to city, place to place, right? New York is not the same as New Delhi. There's a whole different set of problems, right? So his policies, I believe, risks kind of harming the very residents that it aims to help. Whereas it might work in India, it may not work in America. Furthermore, I think the guy at 33 years old running for a place like New York, I could see a really young mayor in Springfield, Illinois, right? With a population of 120,000. But New York, Anish, have you ever walked down Manhattan? You see the number of people there, right? A mayor also cannot kind of override constitutional and institutional frameworks unless they are political heavyweights. So it's very difficult, essentially. Whereas I do agree with you that we do need young people. We do need energetic people for that sense of hope. But we also, I mean, there's value in experience. There's value in having that experience in politics to push policies through as well. I think that for New York, as Trump also said, I believe that he's absolutely wrong for New York. Perhaps maybe he should try for a smaller place.
Anish, 30 seconds left. Last word to you.
My only statement here would be that under Trump's America, all gloves are off. The man has shown that he does not care about institutions. He's shown that he does not care about the frameworks upon which the US was built. And in some ways, what you're seeing with Zohran today is a reaction. He said all gloves are off, that I'll arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes to New York. And I don't care about whether the US has signed the ICC or not. And in some ways, we have to reconcile ourselves.
That's not
no, I agree. Material. But I'm saying
Okay.
that this is the reality we find ourselves in. And all gloves are off in this mayoral election like they were in the presidential.
Priyanka and Anish, I'm out of time. I'd love to continue this, but I have a feeling we're going to be talking more about Zohran Mamdani in the days and the weeks ahead. Like Priyanka said, he hasn't won yet. There still is a general election to happen. So we'll be tracking this very closely. Safe to say, Zohran Mamdani is no longer Mira Nair's son. He's a man all by himself at this point of time. The global spotlight is on him and the Indian internet continues to be lit. Thanks, guys, for joining me here on this discussion on Zohran Mamdani. Meanwhile, it's the biggest ever fundraise. Let me repeat that. The biggest ever fundraise by an Indian private sector aerospace manufacturing company. Noida-based drone startup Rafe M-Fiber has just raised a staggering $145 million from a global venture fund. It's huge, but it isn't surprising. The company just proved its mettle literally during Operation Sindoor, where drones, just like the ones you see on your screen, didn't just watch from above. They were actually firing missiles at Pakistani targets. And ever since, there's been a huge surge in the Indian military's interest in acquiring more of these systems from Indian companies. The army, for instance, has just ordered 450 suicide drones from a competitor and is all set to order hundreds more from this company that has just raised all this money. It's flush with funds and will be in a position to innovate and deliver even more capable drones to the military. Now, this is a watershed moment for India's private defense sector and for young India looking for these high-tech jobs. It signals that Indian innovation in unmanned systems isn't playing catch-up anymore. It's building its own playbook. And with China's drone dominance long unquestioned, this company's success is a clear shot across the skies. Indian drones have arrived, viewer, not just in Pakistan, but in the balance sheets of some of the biggest investors in the world. And I'm very happy now to be joined by Vivek Mishra, who is the CEO and founder of Rafe M-Fiber. Vivek, big congratulations, $145 million fundraise, one of the biggest that we've seen in this country.
Thank you so much for inviting me and talking to me. So this is our Series B round where we have raised $100 million. And this was led by General Catalyst. And a lot of our existing investors like Mr. Ramal Parekh and Think Investment, they pitched in this round as well. And we started almost a decade ago. And this was the major round that we did to support the increase in capacity for our research, for our manufacturing capacity and such.
And this fundraise of 145 million, Vivek, owing to the big surge in demand, I take it, after Operation Sindoor, in which some of your drones actually participated in live combat.
So the vision has been from the day one that we want to develop a very strong research and manufacturing capability in India. We have been silently working for around a decade to develop the capacity where we are able to um, not only do research on the system level, but we are doing research and manufacturing on a subsystem level, wherein each and every part of the drone, be it the structures, be it composites, be it electronics, wire harnesses, or even software, that is being designed and manufactured here. And we have a unique manufacturing capability where state-of-the-art manufacturing techniques along with research is in one roof. So for us, it's the same old, same vision. The value has increased, wherein we are raising a larger amount compared to the last rounds. But this is towards the same vision that we have to be able to do more deep research into every field and focus on manufacturing and indigenous capabilities.
Vivek, can India beat the big gorilla in the room, China, when it comes to drone tech and the drone market? I'm sure this is a question that comes up very often. Can we beat China?
100%. And as you rightly pointed out, we have started. So that's the key word. So we need a very strong ecosystem for design, development, and manufacturing. That's the key. And again, the vision has been that. And we want to partner with everybody who aspires to do this. And we have started to build that capabilities wherein we are able to go deep into a particular field. I'll give you an example. So for one of our drones, for long endurances, we needed internal combustion engine.
Yeah.
Now, anything existing in the market would be either too expensive or too heavy or would not meet the performance. So we decided that we would design and manufacture internal combustion engine here. And we were able to do so. And this is India's first design of an internal combustion engine. And when we designed this, the goal was not to recreate anything, but we were able to reduce the size, we were able to reduce the weight, increase the performance, and at the same time, attune it to the requirement for the UAV and hence the user. So,
wow, yeah.
I feel like there is need of a lot of companies who can focus towards research, focus towards manufacturing, so that we are able to come up with unique products for the unique requirements of India, that is.
And finally, given the huge number of young Indians who leave India for lack of high-tech job opportunities, I'm assuming that your plans now with this 145 million means that there will be a reverse brain drain. And you yourself are an example of the reverse brain drain. You came back to India to start this company.
100%. And I thought that only we use the word reverse brain drain, but I am glad to see you use that as well. So we've been seeing this trend, and recently we sponsored a research-driven event in the US. And I was glad to talk to hundreds and hundreds of scientists who have been working there for 10, 15 years, or even the young scientists who are very excited to work in India and in these fields. So an advancement towards when everybody and most of the companies are working on these kind of things, I think they want to come back, and everybody enjoys working here. And the primary thing is that if you give people the kind of work that becomes an enjoyment, especially for engineers and scientists, they would definitely want to come in. And we are seeing this. There are a lot of Indians who have come back from US, Europe, and are working with us. And not only Indians, we are proud to welcome other people as well who want
Of
to
course.
contribute towards this sector.
Well, what an incredible year you've had, Vivek, and your company, from participation in live combat and Operation Sindoor to the biggest fundraise in India's aerospace manufacturing sector, 145 million. Can't wait to see where you guys go with this. Congratulations once again, and thank you very much for being with me here on India Matters. That's a wrap on the show.